Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the First Pencil with Kathi and Mike. My name is Mike the Car Guy. With me today, as always, friend to horsies everywhere, and just wicked awesome gal in general. I always say car gal, but just wicked awesome. And we don't even have to say gal, just human. Just just a freaking wicked awesome human. Kathi Cruz. Kathi, how are you today?
I'm pretty sure the people that listen are like, okay. Not there might be people that listen, I doubt it, but that don't agree with you. So there could be
No, anybody that knows you is going to go, yeah, yeah, pretty much.
yeah, except maybe a handful of people. Well, but that's because they're, I don't know.
That's on them.
That's right, it's on them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Horsies. Yep. So what's up, dude? What's going on?
Both of us, we've talked about it a couple. We dedicated a whole episode to our experiences in the car business, and I don't want to revisit it as much as it's just spurred a lot of thinking in my side that you know I go back. I look at life through the lens of a desk guy. That's just unfortunate for me because I spent 35 years in dealerships, the bulk of it as a manager, and I'm always looking at it through a car salesperson's point of view. And one of the phrases that I used to use in training quite a bit to help my salespeople understand, you know, I, there's always going to be animosity, right? Customers walk into a dealership, they're apprehensive, they're fearful, they
Mhm.
don't like us. I get that. I get that. Most of it's self-induced. As an industry, we haven't progressed to where we could be.
That's right.
But I think in every interaction at a car dealership between two people, both of them have the same fear. Both of them are thinking, this person is going to waste my time. We know the salesperson is looking at the customer and sizing them up. Can this person buy a car? Are they going to buy a car? Or are
Mhm.
they going to buy a car today from me? And that's what drives a lot of their actions, right? They try to figure out quickly, is this worth my time? Is this person a jack? Are they gonna, take up my knowledge for 2 hours, find out all of the things that we can do, get my best price, and go down the street and buy a car? That's that's keeping them from letting their guard down and truly interacting. And on the customer side, customers do the same thing. I'm not saying, you know, sometimes people say, well, you're a consumer advocate to the point of absurdity. No, I'm not. I know the customers lie, they cheat, they
Of
steal.
course.
Believe me, I've had doctors, nuns, pastors
Yeah.
lie right to my face.
Oh,
It
yes.
doesn't matter.
Mhm.
For some reason, when a customer walks across the threshold onto a car dealership, good, normal people that, attend service, donate to charity, good, wholesome people will suspend all their values and
Yes.
morals because they think that the dealer's lying to them. So it's okay to lie back and we're just going to go to war. But it doesn't have to be that way. So if both people are thinking this guy's going to waste my time, as salespeople, we can't control the world. We can only control us. So I think in the last couple of years, a lot of those bad habits and that resistance and that fear has driven our business because we were able to, for a year and a half there, just having a car on the lot meant you were in the driver's seat
Yeah.
because someone was going to buy it. They were going to buy it for whatever you were asking for it. And it didn't need to be like a Bronco with a $20,000 markup. It could have been a Civic. Civics, I know dealerships that had a $5,000 markup on base model LX Civics, and they were selling them. They were selling them like hotcakes. But they had that luxury to a dealership of not having to earn the customer's business.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, I got a silver one. You want it? Let's go inside.
Hmm.
Well, can I drive it? By the time we go in and drive it, somebody's going to have bought it. So when we come back, they're going to hand the keys to the new owner. Do you want that to happen to you? No. Let's go inside. 5 grand over. You need 8 grand down. Your payments are going to be 923 a month. You
Oh,
ready for that? Well, no. I'm telling you, it's going to sell. Look at those people across the showroom. I think they're buying that car right now. It just we started treating people like
yeah, that
crap.
sounds way too realistic there, Mike. It's a little disconcerting.
And I think the word transparency has gotten a lot of attention again. And I remember when people first started saying, well, consumers want transparency in the car business. My first impulse was, well, shit, that means they want to see what the invoice is. They want to know this. They want to know what my buy rate is. And I really had to stop back then and realize that has nothing to do with what the consumers want. We're misunderstanding the word transparency as an industry.
Mhm.
We think the consumers want to see through to the details of the deal, and that's not it. They just want to feel a part of the deal. They want to know what's happening.
Mhm.
And that's the whole driving force of digital retail. A customer at his own pace can look, find a vehicle, he sees the price, he clicks the button to the next screen, puts in how much he wants to put down, clicks the button to the next screen. It's going to give him a series of payment options based on term and interest rate.
Mhm.
And he's going to decide, but he sees all that information so that he can make that decision rather than going in, giving the salesperson all of my info. Here's all the cards. You don't have to show me nothing, right?
Mhm.
I don't see any of your cards. Here's all my cards. You go and talk to some secret guy at a
Mhm.
talking desk, because again, card verbiage, right? I'm gonna go talk to the desk and get an information, get a pencil from what is this, a talking desk? Is there some magic going on over there? And then bring back some options. These are your only options.
Mhm.
This is it.
Yep.
Well, who said those are my options? The desk guy over there.
Mhm.
The customers don't feel like they have any control or any participation. They're just being led down a path. So the word transparency means two different things depending on what seat you're in.
Mhm.
And now, with what we've gone through in the last 2 years, and the business is changing, and now things are starting to come back around more than ever, I think training and getting back to the basics is
Yeah.
going to make or break dealers. It's going to make the difference between a successful dealership and a dealership that's on its ass.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about training. You don't go to a gym and bust your ass for one day lifting weights and then you're done, right? You're not in good shape for the rest of your life. You can't run on a treadmill for 3 hours and that's it, you're done. It's a conditioning process. It's a never ending process. You never
Yes.
get to a done point when you're exercising. You're never like, oh, I'm done, I don't have to do it for anymore.
I
Training should be
wish.
thought about the same way.
Mhm.
We need to start at the basics, start with consumers point of view, start with customer service at the top of the focus.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean giving cars away. We got to stop connecting great customer service with low gross. There's never been that connection.
No. Nope. It's value. Value is what sells. Yeah. And the training part of it, I agree completely about going back to the basics, but the basics have shifted a little bit because the customer has had really good experiences in other situations.
Right. Yeah.
We've always talked about Amazon, but still, Amazon's got everything. If you need to buy something, you search on there, you look, you can see everything you need to know about that product, similar products, the price, the ratings, what people are actually saying about it. It's all this information that you're getting. And that's what the customer is used to in their daily life. And that's where I think the disconnect has happened, in that now that we're out of the order taking situation with retail, we're going to have to go back to selling and processes and that. But in my personal experience in the last few months, I just really do believe there's going to be a need for some systems and digital retailing tools. I just, without going into too much detail, but I just Honolulu needed a truck, and I usually have no problem trying just getting a dealership to work with me. I'm in the business, and I usually have a friend at the store, but this particular time I didn't. And it was honestly an appalling situation and appalling experience. And one thing that I can say, had they had a digital retailing tool where I could just, because I didn't know them and they weren't, somehow just didn't seem to listen to the fact that I kept telling them I'm in the business, no need to, tell me and try to sell
Retail me.
no retailing me. You don't need to tell me how the thing that's added for $1,850 is going to protect me in the vehicle. Like, don't tell me that shit. I know what that is. But had there been a transparency about the components of the deal, then
And to clarify, by work with, because you spent your career in the industry, when you say work with, it has nothing to do with the dollar amount,
no,
right?
Mm-mm.
When you say that, I fear some people are thinking, oh, you want the deal. That's not it.
No, mm-mm,
and
no.
and that's the wrong way to perceive it. When someone says they want someone to work with me, they just want to feel good about the process,
I want
and
you to
that's not
listen.
new.
I was never listened to, never. I had to extricate myself from it, call the general manager, say that I didn't want to talk to this person ever again. And we ended up working it out, but I am just appalled that it's gotten to this situation. And I'm not singling them out. I see it at other places in the like I said, in the last, maybe this year I've seen that behavior, and I just don't like it. I just want you to listen to me. And when I do a deal, as Mike, you're in the business too, but anybody who's in the business that has friends and family that they need help, I've always been able to call someone, even if I didn't know anybody, and get usually the fleet or the whatever, fleet, internet, commercial department, whatever it is, because it's a house deal, it's not retail. And they usually give me the invoice and then how much over invoice, and we just work out all of that. And it's all just conversation back and forth. And then my friend or my family member goes and signs and drives off. But I couldn't seem to get that to happen. It wasn't for a lack of trying, with this particular experience I had at this dealership. So I feel like, as someone that does training and consulting and cares about customers and the business, you know, expanding and growing with all the things that are happening now, I just feel like this particular store was, lacked certain components that would have really made the experience much better. And one of those mainly is digital retailing, a tool that could let me go in. If you're not going to talk to me straight, which you obviously are not after how many phone calls and wasting so much of my time,
Weeks.
then just let me see what we're dealing with. You don't, whatever, just tell it to me, and then, and I can work it out, I don't even need to talk to you anymore. Because that's kind of how it is with Amazon, right? We don't need to talk to anybody at Amazon about a product. We can just look
With
and
any service, if you go to Priceline, let's say I
yeah.
want to book a flight next week, I can
Mm-hmm.
go to Priceline. I can see a range of different, flight options, different carriers, and if I want to get there with a nonstop, or if I'm okay with a connecting flight to pay less, I have those choices.
Yeah.
If I want to pay more to get a direct, at the time I want to go, well, the choice is right there. You choose.
Yeah.
Too many times consumers have said, are there any other options? This is your option. It's 3 grand down. Your payments are 762 a month. Well, what do I have any other
Why
choices?
would I trust you? Like
Right.
you have a motive to make money. I understand that, and that's fine. But I'm not going to just trust you by what you tell me,
And most of
especially
the better digital retail tools, there's probably 5 or 6 of them out there right now, and they all share some of that transparency is giving those customers options. And
and
that takes
dude,
kind of the dealership out of the mix. Now it's like, okay, well, this
yes.
isn't ABC Motors telling me my payment's going to be 760 a month. This is, Toyota Financial or Wells Fargo or Chase or Ally. These are the options. Okay, well, I can shorten up the term and pay a lower interest rate, pay it out sooner. My payments are this, or I can go a little bit longer and this is my payment. So having those options isn't giving anything away. It's just presenting it in a more clear to understand format, giving the customers the data that they need to make the best decisions for them.
And I'm not here saying that you need digital retailing tools. I'm not here selling them. I don't, whatever.
Yeah, no,
I'm
me either. I'm
I'm
just saying
trying
that's the
to,
allure.
I'm a person that looks for solutions. And because this person lied to me one time, after that, it was over. I wasn't going to believe anything he told me after that. So, and that's a normal human reaction. And had other opportunities with other stores. I had our good friend Tim Bartz, who is an awesome dude, and he offered a really amazing deal from his store, and
Many states
he
away. Many states away.
many states away. in Kansas at Long MacArthur, which I will plug, and Tim Bartz. You got to go see him and definitely check him out online. He's Ford Video Guy. After he heard us talking about it a couple weeks ago, then he wrote me and said, "Here's what we can do." And in the interim, this one vehicle happened to show up, and it was just a matter of like, let me just get this done, and it's here, and it was fine. So, but I just
But within
never
the
refer
span
them.
of 6 weeks, you've had a direct experience with both extremes of the car
Yeah.
business,
Mhm.
like the pinnacle, the bar,
Mhm.
to me at least. And this is just Mike the car guy saying it. Tim represents the bar, the standard.
Absolutely.
Tim is what car sales could be
Yeah.
in its best form.
Mhm.
He's the consummate professional. He's about sharing and educating customers. I mean, that's really his strength. He, at the end of the day, he would love to sell you a car, but as long as you buy a Ford, he's a Ford guy. He
Yeah.
wants to give you the information to help you buy a Ford. If you go to the Ford dealer that's right across the street from you in your hometown, you know, he's okay with that. He knows that he helped sell a Ford out there. And in doing that, in that authenticity and that genuineness, he attracts customers just by
Mhm.
nature of it. So he's selling, he's benefiting from that, but he's also benefiting the industry as a whole, which seems altruistic and it seems, like a big pie in the sky kind of thing, but he is making the industry a better place. And on the other end, you and I have both had
Are these
direct
clowns?
experience here in Southern California that remind me that the
Yeah.
industry as a whole has a lot of growth and it's going to get tougher as we move forward.
Yeah.
It's not going to get easier.
Well, dude, there's an opportunity to grow, but I assure you, I don't see a lot of that happening. I think that the threats that are so prevalent right now, and if that isn't going to motivate you to be better, I don't know. The threats are just going to get worse. And I mean, this was the clown show. I'm telling you. I don't. Oh my gosh. So it makes me sad. I think mostly for the fact that another customer, retail customers, are going to be subjected to that behavior, and it just makes me sad. I think that's at the bottom line. I think I'm just sad.
But we know moving forward, it's going to be more and more important. You just sat in on a webinar or a meeting that shared some interesting stats that are pointing towards it's time to step up, to freshen up, to get back in the game and become that sales professional.
Yeah, that's you're talking about the Cox Automotive. I always
Yes.
sit in, highly recommend it to you guys. Every end of quarter they will do a industry insights. They do a few of them, but the one, it's so this was for quarter two recap, and so they talk about the economy as a whole with respect to what its effect on automotive, and then they had a separate portion dedicated to electric vehicles, and then used cars, and then they wrap it up. And Jonathan Smoke is the head of a chief economist, I think, for Cox Automotive. He's somebody that I've always followed back in the day, way back, 11 years ago when I first went to Used Car Week, which is, I think, in like late November, usually every year. And I would be speaking there, but I stuck around to listen to his presentation. He always had such great insights, especially about used cars. And maybe it's also because I'm just super interested in it. But yeah, so the electric vehicle situation, we talked about, or they talked about it being the day supply, comparatively speaking, to the internal combustion vehicles, which is, of course, is the bulk of the vehicle inventories, at being on a national average around 51% day supply, I believe, and with EVs it was 100 and a little bit under 100. And so they're projecting that EVs will be 6.5% of total vehicles sold. So that's really small. And so all these people are talking about electric vehicles, and I get that, but it's let's keep it in perspective, because
Right.
if you've got 100 days supply sitting on the ground as we speak, the people aren't buying them as fast, and for whatever reason, either they don't want them or they don't think it's good for them, or we talked about the infrastructure not being there, the charging stations and things. But for whatever reason, let's keep it in perspective and then get back to the real issues, which is that one of the stats they shared about just the price of vehicles, that in 2019, the average transaction price was under $50,000. Any in 2019 was 29% of total transactions. So 29% of vehicles sold in 2019 were over $50,000. In 2022, that number was 41%.
Almost double. That's
Yeah,
a hell of a jump.
41%. It's scary, and I don't know the answer. And while people do make a concerted
And that's
effort to buy
reflective in the
vehicles,
current average car payment being almost $800 a month.
yeah, that's also gone up. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was between 750 and 800 a
Yes,
month.
about 3 or 4 months ago, it was like 748. I remember
Yes.
seeing it, and it's gone up since.
Mhm.
So, and it's going to continue to go up. It's not going back down, folks. It's
Yeah.
not coming back down.
So how are we going to address that and dealership operations? How is that going to? And to me, it's going to take. I remember the days of. I thought about this the other day because I was talking about special finance back in the day. This is like 89, 91 area around in there, and special finance, and that was quite an experience. It takes a lot of skill and knowledge and perseverance to run a special finance department. That's how I got so good at going to small claims, because we had a stack of bad checks that was like 2 inches high. And basically, the way we would write deals is that we would get all of the profit up front as much as we could. And then whatever the quote unquote hold check was, or whatever down payment was, that was going to be just extra profit. And if we didn't get it, we didn't, but we would try. That's how I ended up in small claims almost, 3 times a week. But I was pretty good. I collected a lot of money, but that I feel like, that type of situation, not that it's all going to be special finance, but we're going to have to be more understanding, more customer focused, listen to the customer. And I don't see that happening. And so I'm just worried.
I worry, but I hold out some hope. The guys like Tim Bartz
Yeah.
remind me that, the few bad experiences that I hear about are just that. It's kind of like, I'll show real quickly. When I was a technician, right, I was working at a Ford and Isuzu store. At this store, I was the only full bumper to bumper Isuzu tech. We had a couple, like we had a heavy line Isuzu guy and an automatic transmission Isuzu guy, but I was certified in all aspects of Isuzu mechanicals. With Ford, I was a tune-up and drivability guy. I was just doing drivability stuff. So tune-ups, ignition, carburetor. Back then we had carburetors. I worked on probably one Isuzu for every 15 to 20 Fords. I mean, so it developed this perception in my head that Isuzu builds a pretty good product. Ford, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sharing that with the shop foreman one day, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna buy an Isuzu. I mean, they're great. They last forever and everything else. He's like, why would you buy Ford? Because they're crap, dude. I work on nothing but just shit all day, every day. And he goes, hold on a minute, Mike. Think of the numbers that you're talking about. Isuzu builds like, 12 cars a year. Okay. Ford's making millions of cars a year. So you're still only seeing a really, really small percentage of the total Fords that are out there. You can't assume that because the Tempo has some inherent issues that all Fords are bad vehicles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kept me, in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, I'll get a phone call from someone that's, had a bad experience at a dealership, and they feel compelled to share it with me. And I remember that there are still some bad apples in our industry, but I don't let that color my outlook on the entire industry, because I know that there are guys like Tim out there. I know that there, Kenny Langdrum at the Toyota Bowling, Toyota. There's some good people still out there selling cars. You know, the industry isn't all bad. It needs to focus and get back to training our salespeople on a more consistent basis, making sure that, you know, the processes are in place, that the accountability is in place, keeping the basics in line to succeed. But those bad experiences are still going to come up because at the end of the day, we're all people. There are good people and there are bad people. Sometimes bad people get in the car business. Sometimes good people get in the car business. It's never going to be.
But let's just say this though, it's not equal.
Yeah, you are right. You're right. There are those that believe the car business is a safe haven for criminals and thieves.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the reason that's the case is because it's true. I am not as hopeful as you. I readily admit it. Yeah.
The reality is you're probably right, but I'm gonna hold on to the hope.
Whatever you need to do, whatever. I will say that when they delivered it, they actually delivered it to the ranch, and the gentleman that delivered it was awesome, and he delivered it the really, correct way, like the professional, awesome way where you go through everything. And because the truck has, we have a 2004 and this is a 2024, so in 20 years a lot of things have happened on the vehicles. So that was great. And then he had a chaser car, and the guy that drove the chaser car, he was so happy about being in. He had no idea that Orange County had anything like what he was seeing. He came in from there's a toll road, if you're not from California, but it's a road that these roads they've built, and they had a good plan, but they've all gone private. So I'm not so sure how great that plan is anymore, but nonetheless, but it's a toll road that cuts through from Corona area to
Into a canyon that's really pretty cool.
Canyon. And so they came in that way and then drove down through the canyon to the ranch. And he said, I was driving through and I couldn't believe how amazing. I got to come here with my bike. And then when he got there, he just parked the car, and I was just chatting with him for a minute. And Lou Dillon and Coyote were in the arena doing their
which are horses.
Yes,
for those of you that are listening, Lou Dillon is a very famous horse, and
right.
Coyote is a very animated horse.
Yeah, and if you've been on Honolulu's Facebook a little bit, I always share videos of them playing in the arena. They like to fake bite each other, and they're best friends. So they were doing that while he was there, and he was just mesmerized, and he was so happy. He goes, I got to bring my daughters out here, and I'm like, well, come on out, because so that was nice that I told him just walk around, whatever. We have 17 horses, so he got to see every horse, and I said, if you want a tour, I'll give you one. But so the guy was there anyway. So the guy was delivering, and it went down great, and everything was that part was great. And it came because I unfortunately had to talk to the GM and say that I just couldn't deal with that other person anymore, and so that was great. But
and that's what sucks is you shouldn't have to. I was on the showroom floor at a BMW dealership.
Yeah, that's right.
For such a long time. I because I'm a big review person. I threw a nasty gram on Yelp, and it got through. I know that the corporation that owns this particular dealership has a team that's pretty on top of things, and within it wasn't right away, but about 25 minutes later,
that's fast.
The general manager came downstairs, asked the sales manager where what customers were looking to go into finance. This particular one was a lease buyout. Came over, introduced himself, and said, I apologize for any delays in your time. And obviously, we saw the review on Yelp. This is not how we do things. What the fuck, dude? I shouldn't have to throw a nasty review. And then you look and say, oh, Jesus, this guy's got lots of reviews. He's got some visibility. And it's not that I'm Mike the car guy. It's just that I'm a normal consumer that has reviewed a lot of companies and has some type of presence. That shouldn't color how the deal goes.
No.
It shouldn't matter who I am.
No. And to me, that's what training.
You just walk in and get a good experience.
Yes, training in in just processes and adding tools that can support what the customer wants, and whatever that may be. If they can start a deal online, if they can get their credit app, they can get their finance, they can get all of that, where they can feel like they aren't relying on someone being truthful to them. That's,
being willing to be in tune to that,
yeah,
because everyone is at a different stage. You know, there are people that are all the way down to the bottom of the funnel. They know about what their payments are going to be. They've selected the vehicle.
yeah,
And when they get to the lot, they meet somebody that refuses to accept all that. Oh, well, you're not in the business. You don't know what you're doing. Let me go start you at the top of the funnel, and let's negotiate and do all the things to get you to where you're already at. So let me go ahead and waste your time. Like I said at the very beginning, right? The single fear between the two people that's
yeah,
shared, you're going to waste my time.
yeah,
So a consumer that's got all this paperwork and everything else walks in and has to start all over again. Why did I do all this?
yeah, yeah,
Why did I check all those boxes, click all those fields, do all this information if you're just going to start at the top and we got to go through it again anyways?
yeah. I don't, and people would like stand back and go, oh my gosh, you're in the car business and you got that treatment. I mean, this guy was trying to retail me, just definitely like, wouldn't listen. I told him 100 times, I have seen every kink you're going to throw at me. I have seen every, spiel, every, I don't know. I mean, just, the final was they tried to, I just wanted numbers. I never got a purchase order. Like all I got was numbers. And so finally I get like a actual photo of somebody's screen. And I look at, because I barely read it because it's super dark. You can't take a photo of a screen very well. This is where it had gone to. I got no documentation, just a picture, like from his phone, of his screen.
I was
But I look and here I see, $1,800 some odd ad. I'm like, what is that? Oh, that's the thing that we just add that's pre-installed. I said, oh, okay, we'll take it off. Oh, well,
It's our high-tech alarm system, and it's
yeah.
pre-installed.
And it's going to protect you in the vehicle. I couldn't fucking believe it. I
And this
couldn't.
is after 6 weeks of working with you and
Yeah.
realizing, okay, this is not just someone I can pull the
And,
wool over
and it
them.
gets
He's
better.
still
It gets
at the
better.
last minute still trying to shove
Oh
one
yeah,
in under the
it
cuff.
gets better. He sent me the a PDF of the brochure for it.
Oh,
What do you even do with that? I'm like, what are you? I mean, what's wrong with you, dude? I
this
said,
is what we're
take
forcing you to
it off.
buy, just so you
And
know
then,
that it's good stuff.
okay. So then after that, I said, take it off. Okay, well, I talked to the manager and we're going to give it to you at cost. I said, no, you're not. Take it off the fucking car. And I had to say that. This is the level of frustration that I got to, and I'll never forget it because it was 4:30 in the afternoon, and it was a day where, because I try to walk in the neighborhood every day, and so I was out walking, and he called, and I'm walking down my street screaming. I mean, probably wasn't screaming, but it certainly felt like it internally. And I just said, take it off. And then so finally, either take it off or got no deal. Then finally it's the, oh yeah, we took it off. Okay. Yeah. 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 But yes, I shouldn't have to do that. I will never do something like that again. Again, I always deal with people I know or that are friends of friends and things like that. But I'm from Highline Import, and this was a domestic. So I don't have a lot of friends that are from that world. So, but the fact is that somebody else is going to have to go through that. Some other poor person that this guy thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the world, and the fact is he's not. And he looks like a clown. He looks unprofessional, disingenuous, and none of that. I think this is the biggest thing, is that whole experience, except for when the dude delivered it, was like they were never going to see me again. Like it was just, it's in a transaction and it's done. No, customers, I always talk about the Carl Sewell book, Customers for Life. And always treat the $517,000 customer. It's based on like a person will buy 12 vehicles in their lifetime and add service to that, and it's $517,000, which that was in like the late 80s. So now it's way more than that, but that's what I said.
$1 million customer now.
$1 million customer. And so treat every customer like that because they will be back. And I know people, and Tim is one of them, Tim, but my friend Nada that worked at the BMW store still does. If you ever want a BMW, go see Nada at Beverly Hills BMW. She knows that. She only takes repeat business. She only, and she sells like crazy amount of cars every month. And she understands that. But these people did not. This was just a transaction, and they acted like they weren't going to see me again. And it's just bizarre. So anyway, I'm just, I hope that, well, I don't have the hope you do, Mike, but I do hope that training, whether it comes from at the factory level or by the dealer level, or maybe from the corporate level, the training is going to be needed, is needed now. No, it's needed now. It's just a free for all, and it's very scary. So
Now's the time to buckle up and get back to the basics and perfect your craft. I mean, sales is a career. And one of the issues that I always had getting into sales is there aren't enough people in sales that chose sales, myself included.
Yeah.
I didn't set out to be a salesperson. In fact, I used to say, again, most of my statements start off with I used to say, but I've said for many, many years, if you walked into any fourth grade class in this country and you ask those kids, hey guys, what do you want to be when you grow up? There isn't a fucking kid in that room that's going to raise their hand and say car salesman. No. Even if their dad owns the dealership, they're not going to say it. They may say dealer, but they're not going to say car salesman. It's not thought of as a career, as a legitimate field.
Yeah.
We all kind of end up stumbling backwards into it. I was a technician. I was the highest paid tech in the store, but I was the youngest guy in the store. A really savvy closer took me to lunch and said, where are you going to go from here, dude? What's the hope? Next year you get a cost of living increase, quarter an hour, flat rate? I mean, what's your plan? And I didn't have a plan at the time. He showed me his paycheck. I said, shit, that's what I want. That's my plan. He said, exactly. If you want to make that kind of money, you need to be in sales. You have the personality. Let's do it. So I ended up in sales, but I didn't choose it. Once I got in it, I was stuck in it. And a lot of people do it until something else comes up, or because there's nothing else going on. Or if we legitimize it and made a career field out of it with training and professionalism, I think we'd attract better people. Look at realtors.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. There's shady realtors. I'm never going to say that there isn't, but you have a standardized process of training and tests and certifications before you get that little R. Mm-hmm. And that tells consumers, okay, I've studied, I've taken some tests, I've proven that I know certain things about, laws and finances and this and that and safety and rules. There's nothing like that with a car salesman, right? Mm-hmm. You got your sales license, you got a pen, let's go.
And I came to sales just because I wanted more work to do. And then eventually I figured out that it wasn't even a figuring out. It was more like I just wanted to, I could see that running the dealership, I needed to gather information on how to run the dealership. So I wanted to, how did the office work? How did sales work? How did service and parts work? And so mine was more just, yes, I got out. I mean, I think I was in car sales in the beginning, like 6 months maybe, and then ended up doing something else. So yeah, it was the kind of the same thing. And it is a profession, and you can certainly learn so much and take away some of the skills you have into life. And it's just, I always say everyone in life should work the line for 6 months, because you will learn a lot about yourself and by people. And some of these vendors I see, it's like, I was just talking about it with a friend of mine. It's like, these vendors, they act like they've been in the business. It's like, go work the line for 6 months and you will see that you are living in a fantasy land. So
it's a different industry, but there's still a lot of good left to it. So let's switch it up. Let's talk about some fun stuff.
Although I don't have the hope that you do. So I'm very cynical.
Let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about some stuff that I think you're going to be excited about. I'm listening to to music all day. I have my little personal device. If I say the name of it, it'll turn on and it jacks up. So I won't say what it is, but it's a device and I can talk to it. And during the course of my day, I like to have music, and I like to have music that I don't have to really like dwell on and think about, and it's not going to distract me from working. I just need it to have that noise. So usually it's early 80s new wave. I usually play, like First Wave off Sirius, or something like that. And I've heard a couple of times that there is a fan film coming out about In Excess very soon.
Oh,
I knew that would make you happy.
oh,
You were the one that shared with me Mystify, which is the
oh,
documentary
yeah,
about
that,
Michael and his trials. But it sounds like it's going to be really fun. And In
oh,
Excess is such a fun, amazing, wonderful band.
yeah, that sounds great. Oh,
The
excited.
second documentary that's coming out this year, I don't know if you were a huge fan, and I'm not going to ever say I was a big fan, but I did enjoy them. Is Wham?
Oh yes, okay. I definitely would, because I George Michael's life. I like documentaries about people's lives, and I think that that would be a great life to.
I'm actually looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I knew those would make you happy. And then 3 days ago, we celebrated a birthday of the singer for a band, an LA band that I honestly have always felt was just underrated. They She had a huge hit, obviously, and everybody's familiar with them. But I think there's so much focus on the one song that Berlin isn't taken seriously enough for their entire catalog. Terry Nunn had a birthday on the 26th. Aside from the fact that I had a huge crush on her when I was younger, just
Mhm.
setting that aside, that's not
Yeah, it's
there
not
known.
too far on the side.
But um, when Berlin first hit the scene in the early 80s, even before Pleasure Victim, they were a great band, and they were truly, to use the term alternative, which gets misused a lot, they were an alternative to a lot of the things that was going on, because you had punk, you had kind of the early formings of metal, which was a rock. The electronic scene here in California wasn't really prevalent. It wasn't getting any airplay at all. It wasn't getting any kind of recognition. It was seen as a European thing, because back then, keep in mind, like Kraftwerk was huge in Europe. A lot of that electronic, the beginnings of the new romantic, Depeche Mode electronic scene in England. So it was big over there, but here in California, if you had synthesizers, beat it. you weren't you weren't considered real or legitimate. It was electronic. It wasn't like you had to be an actual musician. Keyboards almost play themselves, goddamn it. So they didn't really get the respect that I enjoyed Berlin as a band early on. And then obviously they played 83 at the S Festival. Everything's got to circle back to the S Festival because it was the greatest concert in the history of man. But um,
According to Mike.
according to Mike, but their big hit, right? Take My Breath Away, which was, the featured love song from one of the most blockbuster epics of the entire 80s, Top Gun, wasn't even their song. Do you know who that song was given to before it was given to Berlin?
No.
Because today's Throwback Thursday, right? We're going to play some trivia.
Uh-huh.
It was given to another LA band who actually cut a demo off of it. Martha Davis is
Oh,
the lead singer of this band,
uh-huh.
and it's
Hotels.
available. You can actually find it. The
Oh,
Motels.
okay.
Giorgio Moroni, is that his name? The King of
Marauder.
Disco?
Georgia
Moroder?
Marauder.
Yeah, Moroder.
Mhm.
He actually produced that. He wrote that song.
Oh, he
And
did. Oh, okay.
yes, yeah, the people from the studio came to him and said, this is what we got. They pitched him on the concept. We're looking for a love theme, with the two main characters. And he and his lyricist put this song together. They gave it to the Motels. The Motels cut a demo with it, but he had produced the video and the song, for the song No More Words, which is basically like an epic, almost a mini movie. Terry Nunn, they do like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. And back in the 80s, if you're old enough, you remember videos they were like mini movies. They were professionally produced. There wasn't just the band singing the song. There was a whole theme and stages and, you know, epic explosions in some of them. So I mean, they were they were everything in the 80s, right? Videos were the selling point for songs. So he had an involvement with Berlin from that, and he was the one that said, you know what, I'm gonna have Terry come in and sing this song. It wasn't even the full Berlin band that recorded that song, even though they're the ones, Berlin, obviously that's their biggest hit, and that's the one that everybody wants to go see in concert.
Hmm.
But outside of that, they have a whole catalog of good stuff. So my recommendation is to go back, not only listen to Pleasure Victim, but also Love Life, their second album. After that, but those first two albums, there's a lot of great stuff on those albums.
Okay. Yeah. And of course, don't forget that they have the song for Top Gun.
And I'm willing to forgive her for dating Richard Blake.
Yeah. Sure you are. I can tell.
Still carrying a grudge 35 years later.
Yeah. And then didn't I send you a DM on Twitter yesterday about Dee Snider shared that there's going to be he wrote Hair Metal gets a documentary with I Want to Rock, the 80s metal dream. I guess it's a series.
I was actually going to try to get through a whole episode without getting into any metal. So I can thank you for that one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it looks like a series on Paramount Plus or something. So that, yeah. Yeah.
Twisted Sister, again, if you want to use the term underrated, because of their showmanship and the costumes and the loudness, they weren't appreciated as just being a fucking kick-ass metal band the way they were. In fact, when they first were breaking out, they opened for Motorhead, and they got such a I don't remember the European date, but it was either Austria or someplace in Europe. And they went out on stage. Of course, they almost looked cross-dressery-ish. There's a heavy makeup and very loud, very bright colors. And they were being booed, and just they couldn't even start. And Lemmy, who was like a god, walked out on stage and said, "You guys need to give them the respect if you want Motorhead to come on. We won't play if you guys boo them off the stage. How about that?" And just walked off. Wow. Like literally before mic dropping was a thing. He just dropped the mic. So everyone kind of hushed up. And within a few songs, the story goes that Twisted Sister did win him over. And if you listen to their music, it's just awesome. There's some really, really good tracks in Twisted Sister's catalog. Really good stuff.
So that'll be something for you to check out, my friend, because I'm my spare time right now is filled with I would say 90 Day Fiance. I mean, we only have a certain amount, and as train wrecks go, this is
really
I can assure you.
Not a lot of happy endings.
Oh no.
Happily ever after.
Holy fuck. Oh my God. I am telling you right now, because there's, it's the whole, there's a 90 Day Fiance sort of whole like umbrella. And then so they've got a few shows there's the 90 Day Fiance, which just for anybody that doesn't watch, it's these people, an American will connect with someone in another country, and they're quote unquote dating, but they've never met. And then they go there and they go to the country, and then they try to see how it works. And that's called Before the 90 Days. Okay, that's the show that's Before the 90 Days, which is on right now. Then there'll be, and these shows are all in different stages of like the couples and the people and the new ones and all of that. So now then they have the 90 Day Fiance proper show, which is 90 Day Fiance. That's where the person comes from the other country here for 90 days, and they have 90 days to get married, or they're out. They get it's called a K-1 visa that I would never know otherwise. And they have to get married in 90 days, or they have to get the fuck out of the country. And it is, and you will find yourself screaming at the TV because none of them should be getting married. None. They are absolutely. It is the craziest train wreck you will ever met. You think it's housewives are bad? Oh no, this is way. And I don't know what it is, but it's huge. It's on TLC. It's a huge thing, and there's There's after the 90 days, there's
Oh
ones
my
where
God.
some of them do end up getting married, like a handful of, maybe not even that. I think I can probably count on one hand that maybe that have actually gotten married. But then there's the divorcing, and Happily Ever After is another one. So there's like, I think there's like 6 or 7 90-day fiance shows. But
Wow.
oh, there's one called The Other Way, where the American goes to the other country to see them, and then they get married there or something. And it's not gonna be good. None of it's good. My favorite part about him, because I'm a big fan of Christopher Guest movies. If Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, what else? What other? A Mighty Wind. They're like fake documentaries. If you've ever watched Christopher Guffman, anybody that's a fan knows what I'm talking about. But it the part that's the best about these is that their person comes and talks to their friends and family about this person, and they've never mentioned it before, because anyone around them have never seen them. They only know the person online. And the family members and the parents or the friends are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and then they film them like talking away from the person, like on camera, like a person's gone, and they're talking like, we don't know what we're going to do about this. What is he thinking? And that's the best part about it, because it shows like,
Should we tell him that she's psycho?
yeah. Oh, no. Oh my God. So, but I will say there is one couple this particular season on 90 Day Fiance, Before the 90 Days, that it's a guy who's deaf, and he connects with a gal in the Philippines, and they totally love each other. And the last Sunday's episode, he went there, he went to the Philippines, and they were so happy to see each other. And of course, I'm on Twitter, with the 90 Day Fiance hashtag, like, oh my God. And people are like, oh my God, I hope they make it. So that takes up some of my time during.
Well, yeah, I imagine with all those spinoffs. Sure, sure. Well,
Yep.
I will watch the metal documentary series.
Okay.
It's got to be at least as entertaining as the Decline of Western Civilizations, right? And
Yeah.
we'll report back.
Good. Sounds good.
All right. As we wrap up, we talked about a lot of things today, especially I think the underlying theme is the change coming in car business, right?
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you're in the industry, we definitely want to hear from you. We want to know what you're going through, what changes you're seeing, how you're adapting to those changes, what you see for the future of automotive. Let's have a conversation. Reach out to us. Kathi does a great job of making sure our contact information is in the notes below. So please, let's get some dialogue going on the state of automotive.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that, because it needs it. And I truly do hope things can get better. I think I was talking to one of my friends yesterday about how the factories used to be very supportive when it came to training, and there was a lot of cohesiveness between the dealer and the factory. And that is not the case so much now. And I hope that the factories will institute some training and just awareness around things. And there are some that are doing it. I know Hyundai's doing some that I've witnessed myself, and Genesis in particular too. So, but I just would like to see it on a grander scale, just to serve the customer and help dealers be successful.
You and me both.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for this week. And I guess that's all we got, right, my friend? Yeah.
Thank you for listening in.
Okay. All right. We'll see you next week, and have a good weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.